How hard is it to draw manga?
There's only one beer left. Rappers screaming all in our ears like we're deaf.
If you've arrived at this video, you either like manga or you like art. Best case scenario, you actually like both, in which case win-win, like and subscribe. Chances are at some point though, you've probably looked at some manga or a piece of artwork and thought, damn, that is fucking crazy. Or alternatively, fuck, I wish I could draw like that. So in this video, I'm setting myself the challenge to draw 3 panels from manga that I've selected, each increasing in difficulty. And over the course of the video, the goal is to essentially complete this challenge and find out just how hard it is to draw manga. Find out just what it takes to do what these manga could do on a weekly basis. The first challenge, Margin Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. Now, I want to clarify something. Each panel that I've picked is ranked in a difficulty order based on my current skill level of artistry. To give you some backstory, I've been drawing on and off since I was about 10 years of age. Art to me is kind of like that one toxic relationship I just keep going back to. I can't leave this motherfucker alone. I draw, I enjoy the honeymoon stage, and then the idea of the art that I'm creating, I love it. And eventually, I want to challenge myself to take on bigger pieces, and inevitably I fail because 1, I'm impatient, and 2, I just get disheartened by it. So when I chose this particular panel as the easiest piece, it was based on my own current skill level. Ultimately, the late great Akira Toriyama has an art style that has evolved so much over the years. Goku came from being a small, fat, chubby, chibi character to the muscled up hench of a mutant of a character that we know now. But Toriyama's line work has always just sort of stayed somewhat consistently simplistic in my opinion, and I think that's why I chose this Dragon Ball character in particular, or just any Dragon Ball character, as a good starting point here. For those looking to learn to draw and for those who already know how to draw, it's a good little refresher, I think. It simply just covers all of the good basics within artwork here. Now, admittedly, I fucked up a lot of the proportions for Vegeta's face, but I am ultimately happy with how it turned out. It's been a while since I drew something simply from just observation, but if I had to rate this particular piece on a difficulty scale, I'd probably rate it at a 6.5 out of 10. But it is also worth mentioning that these mangaka draw these pieces often, and they would draw them within the space of a week, and the chapters that I'd follow would have somewhere between 16 to upwards of 20 pages, maybe even more sometimes. To put that in perspective, it took me about 1 hour, 45 minutes to 2 hours, give or take, just to draw this version of Vegeta. And at one point, Akira Toriyama was doing this and more almost every single week, and this thought just kept rotating around my head consistently throughout this challenge. I mean, practice makes perfect, and eventually you become so familiar with these characters, you know them in every conceivable angle, and you're able to draw them with speed and efficacy that just allows you to compete in the brutal standards that is the manga industry. Anyways, next up is Kagurabachi. This is the next step up in the difficulty, the intermediate, which I soon come to learn that maybe I misjudged this. A relatively new artist to the manga industry, Takehiko Hokuzono, is the author of Kagurabachi, and this one's artwork is nothing short of incredible. Sprawling double spreads, color pages out of the wazoo, and perspective shots on characters that absolutely boggle the mind. I don't think I'm understating it to say that Takehiko Hokuzono might be a new artist within the industry here, but there is no doubt in my mind that someday he will be recognized for his insane style in how he depicts action and combatants within the world of Kagurabachi. Now, for this section of the challenge, I wanted to pick up on one of his quote-unquote famous fisheye lens drawings, because obviously this piece was supposed to elevate the level of difficulty. After all, the sole goal of this video is to not only further improve my own drawing skills here, but also learn just what it takes to draw this kind of thing on a weekly basis, and come to understand and appreciate the efforts of some of my favorite mangaka as I'm drawing these pieces. Now, I don't think I'm understating it to say that this challenge has pushed me far past my own comfort level, and perhaps excluding one other video on this channel, this is the hardest I think I've ever pushed myself creatively for this video before. I think the first thing that I noticed about Hokuzono's art here is that he seems to draw in this sort of negative style. What I mean by that is, it's almost as if he just splashed black ink onto the page and then proceeded to fill in the details with the white ink. And for some reason, this concept would just simply not sit right in my head. Not only did it frustrate me, but it made me even more appreciative of the style that Hokuzono has developed over the past 90 odd chapters of the series with Kagurabachi. As you'll see throughout the segment of this video here, this particular piece I restarted multiple times. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was around 4 or 5 different times. My brain simply couldn't isolate a way to even start this drawing, and after a while I kind of just considered giving up. I considered giving up this entire video and scrapping the whole thing, to be quite honest with you. And then it dawned on me, these mangaka, as I mentioned earlier, they do this, and they do so much more than this every single week. And that thought alone sort of spurred me on. It sparked a sort of pettiness within me to just keep going. Now, originally I'd set myself a time limit of 1 day per piece to draw these challenges, but as I was tackling the Chihiro piece, I came to realize that it simply was just not possible for me at my current skill level to achieve this within 1 day. And there are probably multiple ways I could have made this challenge a little bit easier for myself, considering I'm drawing digitally. There was probably many options here within the application that I was using to sort this out and make it easier. But I ended up arriving at the conclusion that if I could section Chihiro off into manageable chunks, I would draw out an outline of an area, fill it, and then work on the details. And once I figured this out, I felt like I was off to the races, and eventually after a lot of stress, I was able to finish this piece. And if I'm honest, I'm not sure what comes next after this piece, because as of the time of recording, I haven't drawn the final piece. But I will say is that I'm probably the most happy with this piece simply because it presented the challenge for me. It presented the puzzle that needed working out. I simply didn't know how to approach this piece, and then when I finally finished it, I was genuinely happy with it. Now, admittedly, the background is absolute booty cheeks. I definitely could have put more work into the background, but I was so happy with the triumph of just being able to draw Chihiro in the way that he is depicted within this panel that I kind of just sort of tapped out early and was like, okay, I'm okay with this. The way this looks, I'm happy. I'm able to walk away from this and I'm satisfied. But that being said, I both love and hate this piece. I hate it because of the stress and the effort that I went to, but I love it because of that same reason. It was nice. Overall, after a lot of trial and error, I'd probably rate this piece a solid 8 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. But as for what's to come next, is going to be my biggest artistic challenge of my life.
Takehiko Inoue is a mangaka who has personally influenced my life with his artwork and storytelling, and I mean that in the most literal sense of the word. I stumbled upon Vagabond manga a couple of months after the passing of my mum, and reading through that story, I not only fell in love with the story, but the artwork too. It helped me deal with the thoughts of sort of finding yourself, and it helped me escape one reality into one that Inoue had crafted so masterfully. And I can't overstate it enough when I say that I do truly love this manga, hence why my whole entire theme is based around Masashi Miyamoto here. So when I decided to add Vagabond into this challenge, I could not help but feel nothing but nervous energy. It was like I was just stood afoot the summit of a Goliath mountain that I was just simply ill-prepared to climb. The panel I chose for this specific difficulty was one from the Farming arc, a panel that I think personally is one of the most iconic within the entire story, and believe me, there are a lot of insanely beautiful panels to choose from when it comes to Vagabond, but this one spoke to me the most. So I set out to draw this Goliath challenge, and I have to say, comparatively between this and the Kagurabachi panel, I struggled more with the Kagurabachi one, surprisingly, which is insane given the level of detail that is in this panel. I struggled so much not only with Hokuzono's perspective used in that panel, but also with the way he details his characters. But as I said during that segment of the video, it forced me to learn and grow and try new things. And I think that alone is why I was able to draw this Vagabond panel to the best of my ability. I mentioned how this piece was the biggest challenge for any piece of artwork I'd ever done, and I stand by that. But not because it was hard to draw, but more so because of what the art represented to me personally. I was so determined to try and do this artwork justice that I'd put a lot of pressure on myself. I was nervous going into this, but I'd learned from the Kagurabachi piece to separate it all into smaller, manageable chunks, and I think that's why I found this panel easier than the Kagurabachi one, but still challenging nonetheless. I think ultimately this challenge as a whole, this video as a whole, allowed me to grow not only creatively but as an artist in a short amount of time. It allowed me to push myself further and learn things that I didn't think I was going to be possibly able to learn, to experiment with other brushes, tools, and all other sorts of stuff that comes with digital art. But as I was drawing this panel, I couldn't help but feel that because I was doing it digitally, I was cheating. Takehiko Inoue is famous for his beautiful artwork, and doing it traditionally with pens, pencils, and brushes of the sort, he is just a master of his craft. So in that regard, I felt like I was cheating. But when I tried to brush that aside, I couldn't help but feel just incredibly proud of this piece. I think this is hands down one of the best pieces of art that I think I've ever produced. And had I tried this panel first, I doubt it would have turned out the same way it would have now. This challenge overall helped me grow, but it also made me realise just how fucking hard it is to draw manga. I couldn't imagine having to do panels like this on a weekly or even monthly basis. That pressure and that time crunch would simply cripple me, either physically or mentally, as it has done with so many other mangaka in the industry. So, to answer the question that this video sets out to answer, yes, drawing manga is fucking hard in my opinion. Anyways, that is everything from me. If you've not already, please be sure to like and subscribe, and maybe consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a member to the channel to get behind the scenes access on videos and other projects that I'm working on. But as always, I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Much fucking love. Big fucking kisses. Peace.